Alright, we got about 4 hours before the movie begins. That gives me enough time to go there, get a seat, and... Someone left a comment on one of my videos. I know I shouldn't go online or social media until after I've seen the movie because people are already spoiling it, but... I mean, it's a comment on one of my videos. How can I ignore it? It's not like somebody's going to spoil it on one of my videos. That'd be a totally dickish move. Right? I'm gonna check it. Oh hey, someone's tweeting me. Oh, got a text message. Yellow.
At the end of The Force Awakens.
Wait, hold on, stop. Who is this?
I am a dark force that...
No, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off right there. Do I actually know you?
Well, not exactly, no.
So, what? You were just calling up random numbers to spoil Star Wars to complete strangers?
Oh, I'm afraid there's nothing random about it. I and my empire online have spent days planning ways to call up the most number of people to spoil this film to the world.
Wow. So you guys must have, like, no life whatsoever.
I have a life.
Sure you do. Name me 3 friends you have right now.
I have friends.
Name them.
Well, there's Joey.
Oh, Joey. What's his last name?
Jojo Jr. Shabadoo.
That's the worst name I've ever heard in my life.
Shut up! I'm not here to impress you with my long list of very real friends. I'm here to make you angry.
Well, congratulations, you succeeded. I am angry. You just spoiled a major part of the movie that I haven't even seen yet for no other reason than you're just a dick. So yes, I am angry.
Let the hate flow through you.
It is flowing through me. Why would you do that?
So that you can join the dark side.
I'm sorry, you want me to join you? I thought you had plenty of friends already.
This isn't about that. This is about making you feel our power, making you want to be a part of it, making you want to join our side and spread spoilers throughout the world.
That's awful. There is no reason why I should do that.
Yes, there is. Someone did something terrible to you. Don't you want to now do something terrible too?
I'm sorry, so you're saying that just because someone was a jerk to me and was mean to me and took something away from me, I should then become evil? That's the worst villain origin story of all time.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It's like the origin story for 90% of all comic book villains.
Well, okay, you got me on that one. But no, I'm not going to go out there and just spread this to other people. I'm not going to go out there and be a jerk to other people just because you were a jerk to me. That doesn't solve anything. That just creates more jerks, and it just ruins the lives of other people out there who had nothing to do with this at all. I'm not going to go out there and be mean to completely innocent people just because you get some kind of a high from being a jerk.
But don't you want to make others suffer like you have? You had this movie ruined for you!
But you didn't ruin the movie for me. Sure, you took the surprise away from one moment of this upcoming movie, and yes, it does sound like that is going to be a huge moment of the movie, but any movie that depends solely on just one moment, that's not really a good movie to begin with. Movies aren't single moments. They're a series of moments. They're ideas, they're stories, they're an adventure being told through clever and witty dialogue that's being delivered by likable characters with rich, deep backgrounds. I'm sorry, but yes, you did take something away from this movie for me, but you didn't ruin it because if this movie is as good as people say, you couldn't possibly take all of that away. Sure, you might have hurt this one moment, but if that moment is still delivered by likable characters, great actors, and being shot beautifully, then I'm sorry, but you're just wasting your time. You didn't really do anything other than just shave a tiny piece off of a great, big, large film.
Oh, please. Those expectations are too high. You know it can't live up to that hype.
Hello everyone, it is me, Aaron, Professor Thorgi, your guide to all things geeky, here in my super geeky, festive Go-Goat Pokemon Christmas sweater. Yes, I do own this, and yes, I do wear it. I don't care. But I am here today to give you my review of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. And let me just say, as you guys saw in that opening, I did indeed have this movie spoiled for me. I did, and I wasn't the only one. Pretty much everyone at my store had this spoiled to them through some form of social media, even when they weren't looking for it. People were just sneaking it in and hiding it in certain places, and it is true that there was indeed a group of people out there who were organizing campaigns online to call up stores and spoil it to just random people, whoever answered the phone, including my store. I was there, standing next to the register, when someone called, and one of my employees picked it up, answered the phone, said yes, hello. No, I haven't seen Star Wars Episode 7. I can find you someone on the floor who's seen it if you have a question, and Why would you tell me that? Like, it was the saddest thing to watch that. I knew exactly what happened on the other end of the line. So yes, congratulations, trolls. You got some of us. But here's the thing, you also failed, because you know something? You didn't ruin this movie for us, because this movie can't be ruined by spoilers. It is so freaking good, you have to see it to believe it. I know that for a review, I should probably keep you on the edge of your seat a little bit, and be like, oh, did I like it or didn't I like it? I can't hide my excitement for this. This film nailed it. I wasn't even the biggest Star Wars fan. I wasn't. I liked the original films. I think Empire Strikes Back is a fantastic piece of cinema, but the other two I'm like, yeah, these are good. And then the prequels, what can I say about the prequels that everybody else out there already hasn't said? No, seriously, if you'd like to hear what I have to say about the prequels that everyone else hasn't said, please let me know in the comments down below. I still got a little bit of anger about those films, especially after watching how good this one was. But anyway, as I was saying, yes, even though I thought that those original 3 films were really freaking good, I never really felt the need to really immerse myself in the fandom and the lore and the extended universe and all of that. But after watching this film, and reading a lot of the Marvel Comics Star Wars books, which are really freaking good, after watching this film, I'm like, oh my god, I want just so much more in this universe, because this film reminded me of everything that made those original movies better, and in some ways, this film actually did a couple of those things even better. I know that seems like blasphemy to say, but I'm still kind of riding the high from this film, and I can't help but compare it back to those original ones and go, there is some stuff that is just done better, and it's not even a technological thing. Some of the scenes are just shot better. Some of the acting is just better. Some of the dialogue, a lot of the dialogue, is just better. It blows my mind how many times this film actually managed to top those original films. However, that is not to say that it topped it in every category and at all times, and it is not to say that this is a perfect film. It is in fact flawed in a couple of ways, and I'm going to get into all those because this is my spoiler-free review of the movie, meaning 2 things. One, this is going to kind of be a short review, simply because this movie starts spoiling things left and right the moment that that movie begins. But also it means that I will be having a spoiler-free discussion coming up later after this video. So if you want to see that, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so you know the moment that I post it up. But for now, let's get on with the spoiler-free review. And by spoiler-free, that includes you guys in the comments. Seriously, if I see any of you in the comments start spoiling this movie for everyone else out there, then I'm not really going to do anything because I have no power on the internet. I will just ask you nicely to not do it though. Please. That's probably not going to go over too well after I made you guys all seem like dicks in that opening sketch. But okay, let's go ahead and start with the good. The first good thing that I have to say is that this film, it just feels like Star Wars. Those original prequels, they just felt so bland and without really any personality to them, and they just felt so clean and squeaky and shiny that didn't match the tone of the originals at all. And I understand that this was set before the Empire came about, so it's kind of before everything went to crap, so I can understand all the squeaky cleanness of it. But this one, it feels like it is in that world. This doesn't feel like a fan film. This doesn't feel like somebody else came on and they were just given this property and they're like, oh, okay, I think I understand it. No, this was made by people who get this property. It honestly shocked me just how much this felt like the originals. Everything from the amazing practical effects to just the personalities of the characters and the landscapes and the settings. It all feels like Star Wars, and that is the best thing that I can say about it, because so many people have tried to reproduce Star Wars and failed. Even the guy who made the original films, when he went back to tamper with them, failed to reproduce that. These guys did it. Oh my God, Disney, just buy up every other property out there, because you have proven to me you can handle it. And as I mentioned, this captures the personality of Star Wars, and the biggest part of that is the characters. They introduced 3 new characters into this, 4 if you include BB-8. And by the way, let me just say, to anybody out there who was like, oh, BB-8, he's just gonna be some weird little Ewok sidekick who's just there to make jokes. BB-8 is awesome. That was the exact fear I had going into this movie. BB-8 is so much fun and adds so much to this, alright? So, anyway, you've got 4 new characters, and they all have such great personalities. They are all such unique characters. Sure, you can look at them and go, okay, well, this one's kind of fitting that role there, but they are still so unique in their own way, and with their personalities are so distinct from each other that just watching them interact with each other, that's all I want from this. I didn't even care if a single lightsaber got lit once. Just watching these characters interact with each other was golden. Not just for like a Star Wars film, but for any film. This has some of the best chemistry and charisma among characters that I have seen in any movie. The moment that Finn meets Poe, 2 minutes, not even that, 30 seconds after those 2 characters start interacting, I was like, this is all I want the next movie to be. The next movie, I don't care who else is in it, I just want to be a road trip with these 2 guys because there is so much charisma between them. It's incredible. It's oozing off the screen. And honestly, listen, I've tried to understand the people who like the prequels. I've tried, I really have. I've listened to what you have said, I've tried to understand it, but just thinking back to those films where everyone was so stiff and robotic and emotionless, and how they acted with each other like they weren't even there. It might as well have been cardboard cutouts out there on the screen. Just thinking back to them, and then thinking to this film, and just thinking about how much people were just loving interacting with each other and how their personalities just clashed, and everybody just felt like a fully fleshed out 3-dimensional character who had charisma and chemistry with one another. I'm sorry, but those prequels. I'm sorry. This was the last straw for me. Seeing how good these people interacted with each other, it just made me look back to those films like I really have nothing to root for in those films. This one, as I said, instantly, the moment you meet these characters, the moment they start interacting, it is just gold throughout the rest of the movie. I loved each of these new characters. And that is not to say that I didn't also love the returning characters. Listen, I know I said that this is spoiler free. However, I'm going to assume you guys have seen the trailer. So, okay, you have all seen the trailer. If you haven't, this is your last warning. Now's the time to turn it off. Okay. If you saw the trailers, then you know that Harrison Ford is returning as Han Solo, and we're also getting Princess Leia back, okay? Those 2 don't share a lot of time together, but the moments that they are together, oh man, you buy it. You buy the relationship between them. You buy everything that they say has happened between them. I won't say what has happened, but when they talk about everything that's happened since the last film, man, you felt it. And honestly, I was very worried about that. Because Harrison Ford, for the past decade, has basically just been showing up on films for the paycheck. He has only been showing up there just to get the paycheck, and he hasn't really cared. Like, his performance in everything for the last decade has basically been... It's like, did you get bit by a werewolf, Nick Nolte? Is that what's happening to you? Okay, but seriously... When I heard that he was going to be in this film, I was worried it was going to be the same thing, because also Harrison Ford was one of those guys who, after he left this franchise, he was kind of like, yeah, I don't really want anything to do with this anymore. So I was stunned that they were getting him, but I was afraid I was going to be watching this the entire time like, man, he just looks like he's being forced to be here. He does not look like he wants to be here. He wanted to be here. Watching this, he was doing it. He showed up not just for the paycheck, he showed up to act. He showed up to be Han Solo. And when I was watching him up there, I wasn't watching like Harrison Ford being a character. I was watching Han Solo. He just instantly brought that character back. Alright? And there's so many small things about Han Solo that a lot of people, if they were to write him, would probably leave out. Or if they were to direct Harrison Ford, they would probably leave out. But as I said, the people making this film, everything from the writer to the director to the actors themselves, they know what this franchise was supposed to be, and they know who these characters are supposed to be. Like, for instance, so many people think, oh yeah, Han Solo, he's such a badass. Han Solo, if you go back and watch those original films, yes, he was a badass. He was also a guy who, the moment that stuff starts going down, would run the fudge out of there. And not even run like, okay, we gotta get out of here. He would run like, "Rrr." And watching this, Harrison Ford does that. He does it, and he does it exceptionally well. And I was like, oh my god, you are getting this character even down to the smallest details. This isn't like just some nostalgia trip where it's like, hey everybody, it's Harrison Ford, it's Han Solo again. Alright, don't you love it? No, this is the best kind of nostalgia because it's that thing that we loved back again. But it's not just bringing it back for a cameo. They bring these characters back and they progress their stories as well. And honestly, once again, no spoilers, I loved how their stories had progressed. I did. And so far, I've mostly just been talking about the heroes, but the villains are great too. One of the villains is great too. Okay, that's my first small problem with this, is that Kylo Ren is great. The new Darth Vader-ish kind of character, he's great. I thought he was excellent because he wasn't just Darth Vader. He wasn't just some big, threatening, intimidating, monotone character. No, this guy actually had a personality to him. He was actually three-dimensional. That is not to say that Darth Vader was not three-dimensional and he did not have a personality to him. What I'm saying is that these two don't have the same personality. They don't have the same dimensions. He is indeed his own unique character. In fact, he even has a little bit of a sense of humor to him, which is something that we haven't really seen in any of the villains from the Star Wars universe so far. So I think that he was very unique in that way. But the other villains in here are just kind of there. Like, we all saw that Commander Phasma, the big chrome stormtrooper, and I was like, oh man, I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with her. And when she shows up and you hear her voice, it's like, oh, her voice sounds threatening. Oh, she's got this great presence to her. And she doesn't do a single thing in this movie. I'm sorry, I don't feel like that one's a spoiler because I'm just telling you there's nothing there, okay? She does nothing in it. And I did get the feeling, though, that we would see her do something in another film coming up. But I can't give this movie bonus points for something that may or may not happen in a future film, okay? But in the end, I do still think that Kylo Ren is a worthy addition to the list of great villains in the Star Wars franchise. Now, we've talked about the characters, we've talked about the heroes, we've talked about the villains, we've talked about the special effects and the practical effects, and they all look great. Let's get into the story. And this is where we start to have problems, because I feel like the story is very good in the beginning, because in the beginning, it's new. In the beginning, we're meeting new characters. In the beginning, we're meeting new settings. In the beginning, we're getting this bold, new, great adventure. But as it goes on, as the story starts to grow and develop and we see where it's all headed, and as we start getting introduced to new characters and we start going to new settings and people start interacting with each other, slowly it kind of dawned on me that, well, let me say this. This is directed by J.J. Abrams. And you remember how in that last Star Trek film, everybody said, oh man, J.J. Abrams lifted way too much from the previous Star Trek films. And you remember how when he made Super 8, people said, oh man, you lifted way too much from Steven Spielberg films. Well, now he's making a Star Wars film. Guess what he did? Yeah, as the plot starts to develop, they just start putting in more and more things from the previous films. And I don't mean like Easter eggs. Easter eggs are fine. I mean major plot points. And I don't mean it's like, oh yeah, you remember when that happened? Well, here's the development of that. No, I mean copy and paste. And I'm not going to spoil any of those, but I will say that in the spoiler discussion that I have coming up, I am going to list off every single one of these that I caught, and it is a long list. In fact, there are 2 moments in this film in which they replicated the original films so much, I actually just said under my breath, you gotta be f***ing kidding me. But here's the thing. Even when he replicated something from the previous films, there was something new to it. There was at least a tiny sprinkle of something new in there. Sometimes it was a little sprinkle, sometimes it was a big sprinkle. But there was at least something new that he would put into everything that he replicated that made me go, you gotta be f***ing kidding me. But that was still pretty cool. And one of the things that would help me along whenever I had some kind of a problem with the direction that the story was going was the dialogue. This honestly has some of the best dialogue and the wittiest dialogue in any of the Star Wars films. In fact, listen, I know that there are going to be a lot of people arguing whether or not this one is better than this film and where it fits in the ranking of all the other Star Wars films, but you cannot deny. I will go ahead and put this on the table. This is hands down the funniest Star Wars film that we have gotten, and I don't mean that as in they're going for a comedy. No, far from it. I just mean that once every 10 minutes there will be a joke in there, and it will actually be a good joke. Every single joke in this thing hit. There was no like really cheesy sight gag. There was nothing that was trying to be dumbed down for kids. No, these are actually just really clever lines being delivered by very talented and funny people. So yeah, that's about all that I can say without going into further spoilers, which I will do in my spoiler discussion. But to sum up, this is indeed a triumphant return of the Star Wars franchise. It's back. That is the best thing that I can say, is that feeling that you had when you watched that first film, it's back. I mean, I'm a jaded film critic, and yet when I watch this, I have the biggest smile on my face. Just watching these characters interact with each other, just watching the adventure and the amazing effects and the great action, it just hit me on every level. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this film. And the only reason why I am not giving this a perfect is because, yeah, they kept shoving in there stuff from the previous ones that it did start to wear thin towards the end. Like, every time that I was like, oh, I'm gonna hit that very top rung. Nope, slap down to the one right underneath it. But still, holy cow, this is one of my favorite films of the year. And honestly, it's been a long time since I've been able to say that about anything Star Wars related. So kudos to all you Star Wars fans. May the Star Trek fans one day get theirs as well. I'm so sorry for that trailer, guys. So that's it, everyone. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button right there to see more fun, geeky stuff from me from the world of comic books, video games, and more, including that upcoming spoiler discussion. If I have already done it, then you can click the annotation that will appear right there. If there's nothing there right now, then I haven't done it. Simple enough. But you can also see my list of the top 10 things that I want to see in the future Star Wars films by clicking the video right there. Alright, thank you guys very much for tuning in, and if you like this, then all I'm going to do is just ask you, please, very nicely, share it. Share it all across the web, whether it be on Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit, any of those other Star Wars websites out there. I forgot the word website. Oh my god, that's how excited I am from this movie. Thank you guys very much. I'm breaking down. I can't keep this level of excitement up anymore. It's exhausting. Thank you guys very much. Come back next time. May the Force be with you.